I don't think there's an industry that I detest working in more than the solar industry. I'm at a site, and it's a solar facility where my task is to automate the process in which a very large pump is controlled. And I'm not actually really doing the automation whatsoever. I'm doing the medium voltage variable frequency drive that is to control said pump so that I can move liquid sodium to a very large target, and mirrors will direct the energy of the sun to superheat this liquid metal. I detest going to solar sites because it's like right now I'm probably the only person at this site, with the exception of the customers, of the site engineers, who does not have a neck tattoo. I'm fairly certain that besides me and this engineer, we're the only two people that could possibly pass a drug test. We're in the middle of nowhere, and so I have this very, very large drive that's supposed to be taking in 4160. And what should happen is the 4160 gets converted into DC. That DC then gets inverted back into three-phase AC, and of course it's going to be at different speeds and stuff, and the drive is supposed to control the torque and the currents and whatnot. I can't even get that far. Ever since I've gotten here, there's been nothing but hiccups. Installation was not done correct. Tag out procedures have not been followed. All kinds of stuff. I'm this is a job that should have taken me 3 days on site, and I'm going into week 2.5. My big issue right now is I can't even begin to try to tune the drive to the motor because I cannot keep the drive up. The drive keeps tripping on me. And the reason the drive is tripping on me is these two sine waves at the top, this one and this one. This is measuring, basically what's happening is 4160 comes in and it gets stepped down by a very important step down transformer to 120 volts. And that 120 volts gets sent into one of my boards. And this is how the drive recognizes what the utility is doing in real time. Now it's supposed to be three-phase, but it shows up as two separate sine waves. And the reason it's so choppy is just because of the processing. But if you notice, there's a little notch here, there's a little notch here, there's a little notch here. This is happening once every 60th of a second. It's perfectly at 60 hertz. And so this is how the drive begins to calculate what the incoming voltage is doing. On top of this, the other really big issue is that the voltage, the three-phase AC coming into the drive is already too high. And I have tried to explain this to this electrical engineer for the site, I don't know how many times, and it's incredibly infuriating. Normally, I should be getting three-phase AC at 4160, and without me running the actual drive, as long as I close my main contactor and my switchgear, I should see this automatically get rectified to around 70 to 74% of the DC bus, because the IGBTs inside of the drive, even though they're not firing, we still have the rectifier action. That is not what I'm seeing whatsoever. Effectively, my 4160 volts is about 120% too high. It's 120% of my rated voltage. So when I go into diode mode, I'm already too high. And as soon as I start trying to control the DC bus and regulate it, I'm supposed to bring it up to 100%. And instead, it's already too high. And now I'm trying to bring it down effectively. So that's a problem. And then, of course, every time I get this little bip here, my subsequent Q and D axis voltage goes apeshit. So all of a sudden, I'll be at 100% Q axis, boom, 117%. And then my total VAC, I'm actually seeing this as a massive pulse of voltage. Massive pulse, massive pulse, massive pulse. And this is just throwing my regulation out the window completely. And I've shown this on the scope. I've shown that this is not actually being generated by the drive. The drive is actually reading what is going on inside of the system. And I've been banging my head against the wall trying to get this site engineer to understand that garbage in equals garbage out. And this is a pretty complicated setup, and one of the things I know is on the electrical plant, they have a soft starter. And it's absolutely critical that when they go to operate this system, that soft starter is completely isolated. I keep saying to the guy, I don't believe your soft starter is isolated. I believe the SCRs on your soft starter are intermittently firing. And I need that system fully isolated. Oh, it is. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. I can see the capacitance. I see the capacitance. I need to see the detailed drawings of this soft starter because this is not my equipment. I also need to know what the settings are currently in that soft starter. The guy has fought me for 2 days about this. And of course, we can't get anywhere. There's nothing for me to do. And the guy keeps saying, well, your drive should be able to handle this. No, the drive can't handle this. The drive couldn't handle if you only gave me 2 out of the 3 phases as well. Garbage in equals garbage out. What is really super frustrating, however, is my expert back at the home office, we'll say his name is Samuel. Samuel is a very talented, brilliant electrical engineer. He's a really good, reliable office worker. Samuel is currently in treatment for cancer. He's on chemotherapy. And so Sam is not exactly able to handle any of this stuff right now. There's more important things that Sam should be focusing on. But what is so irritating is because he's not available, I'm having to deal with a bunch of other knuckleheads who, for reasons that I cannot fathom, keep CCing Samuel on this. And they don't need to be CCing anyone on this. All I really need, is the backup from the home office to tell this electrical engineer to get his head out of his ass and start doing his own testing. But at some point, I was finally able to convince him for like the 5th time. I had the scope. And I had it all tied in, and I had shown the drawings, I don't know, 6 times. And I was like, look, all I have is 120 volt for the control power. And that is simply to turn on the boards so that I'm able to do a trend. And I have everything else, I have it completely disconnected from the main power. And I'm reading from this scope the 120 on the back side of this phase lock loop transformer. You can see that noise. That noise is part of your system, and I need you to eliminate that noise. He goes, well, I'm going to need a written procedure on how to do that. I go, what? You're telling me I have to troubleshoot this? I'm going to need a written procedure from you guys on how to troubleshoot the plant grid. And I look at this guy utterly dumbfounded. I was like, you're expecting from me a written procedure for you to troubleshoot your entire electric plant, an electric plant that I don't have drawings for. I don't know what equipment you have. I don't know what has been commissioned. I don't know what is in operation. You want a complete written procedure, line by line, on how to isolate things and test them. He goes, yes. You'll never get one of those out of us. Legally, there's no possible way. There's no possible way for me to ever be able to create a document like this. No. So his solution, of course, is to raise a shitstorm, demand that I get kicked off the site, and have me replaced with somebody else from the home office. And so they send someone out, an individual that has about 1/3 of the experience that I have. And I'm sitting in the hotel. And before that person even gets there, one of the people from the office that I've been sending back reports and all this detailed stuff, one of the guys from the home office emails me. Hey, Smith, I don't know if you've seen this, but we're having some issues on project blah, 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 blah. You can read the email chain and you can see the issue that the field person is having. Do you have any thoughts on this, and how would you proceed? And I immediately fired back, oh my God, you're not reading any of these emails. I'm the motherfucker that emailed you originally. You have literally forwarded my own email back to me. Please don't contact me again. Oh my goodness. Oh my fucking God. So, new field guy gets here. All the same issues. There's nothing for him to do. Nothing for him to do. There's nothing that he could possibly do. So now there's talk of them flying in a third person in to magically try to fix this. And there's nothing to fix. Absolutely nothing to fix. I swear to God, I only run into this in solar sites. This is like somebody having a car engine or a car, and the car is constantly misfiring. And I check the gas and I go, you got sugar in here. There's sugar in your gas tank. And the car owner says to me as the mechanic, well, you could fix that. Like you just like change the timing, right, on the car engine. I was like, no, I can't do that. We're probably going to break the engine if we keep trying to run like this. We're going to have to flush out the whole system. Da, 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 da. No. I don't like this. I'm gonna get somebody, another mechanic that works here and do that. It's just we've wasted so much flipping time. And I guarantee you what's going to happen is it's going to turn out that this soft starter is not fully isolating. The guy still has not given me or anyone else detailed drawings of the soft starter. I asked him for the settings. What settings do you have in this soft starter? What does he do? He gives me a screenshot from the manual. And I says to the guy, what is this supposed to tell me? It doesn't tell me what's actually wired into the controller for this. It doesn't tell me what dip switch settings you even have. I don't, this is useless. Oh my God. And I'm getting so much flack from people at the home office because they feel that I'm handling this wrong, that I'm ruining the relationship we have with this customer. And I'm like, oh, I'm fine with that. I hope I never see this man ever again. Never again. It's just these solar sites are so goddamn frustrating. For some reason, people think solar renewable energy is automatically safer. And the way I would explain that to folks is, a 20-story dam and a 20-story building will both kill you if you jump off the top of them. Only one of them is a renewable energy source. And these solar sites tend to be in the middle of freaking nowhere where they can't actually get any kind of decent labor. Oh my God, everything was set up wrong. But I'm finding myself having to go over again and again and again and perform the same tests, get the same results, and people are magically expecting differences. And I'm really starting to realize how wonderful Samuel is, because I have a strong suspicion that if Samuel was healthy, he inexplicably has a way of talking to people like this and getting them to listen to him. I simply cannot. I simply cannot get this guy to pull his head out of his ass so we could just get this done. Just get this done. And again, there's nothing that I can do. I don't own it. I can't just start turning off their equipment. I'm not allowed to do that. I can't come up with a procedure and tell them how to do basic troubleshooting. I simply can't. The only thing I'm allowed to own and touch is the drive. And I can't affect the power going into the drive. This is so frustrating. I really enjoy my job. I really enjoy my job. But when I get a job assignment like this, where it feels like there's no end in sight, there's just no end in sight, and I'm stuck dealing with somebody who doesn't want to listen. This guy at no point has wanted to listen to me because he has an assumption in his head on what this equipment is supposed to be able to do. And he doesn't want advice. He wants validation. I swear to God, if this guy tells me one more time that our competitors' drives can handle a power grid this screwed up, I'm just going to pack my shit and leave. It's like, oh my God, the backup field engineer, like, I'm in the room with them, and the backup field engineer is trying to tell the guy the same exact thing. He's like, I've already heard this all before. And so the guy, he's like, he just turns to me. He goes, "What are we supposed to do if he's not going to listen?" I was like, "I don't know, man. I don't know, Jorge. No comprende." It's just, it's so ludicrous. Um, and it's goofy too because the guy is trying to flex about how much money I'm costing him in delays and stuff. And it's like, I'm not costing you these delays. You are. And two, I hate to tell you this, sir. This project might seem like it's a big deal for you. This is small potatoes for me. I've worked on multi-billion-dollar projects before. I've automated the world's busiest port while it was still in operation. Like, this is nothing. This is nothing. And we could have had this all up and running. I firmly believe that they have not done any power system analysis whatsoever. I don't think they've done any real grounding checks of their grounding system or any of that. And again, there's nothing for me to do but stand around. I mean, I'm getting paid, but it's one of those jobs where I would rather just be home. I'd rather be home. And it's like, we just want to see it work. We just want to see the motor turn. Yeah, I'm sure. I just want to see you guys actually deliver the power to me that you say you're supposed to. Nothing can run, because again, you got to keep in mind, this is 4160 volts. Like, again, this is actually a 120 signal, but what's generated is a 4160 volt signal. So when this little bip here, it's on my end going in the drive, it's not much, but what the drive is actually experiencing, oh hell yeah, oh hell yeah. Golly, this is so frustrating, and it's a weird frequency too when it's happening at 60 hertz, which kind of makes me think that this has to be related to that soft starter. But it's just like, what do you want me to do, man? What do you want me to do? Oh my goodness. Like, I could even show, let me fix something real quick. I'll show you how bad this is. So if I put these both like this, and then if I scale them the same. So what is this? This is like, these aren't even really balanced anymore. This is so misshapen. There's so much noise. And you can really see, boom, it's getting yanked, boom, it's getting yanked, boom, it's getting yanked, boom, it's getting yanked every single time perfectly. It's predictable. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do. So irritating. Parents, don't let your kids become electrical engineers, because this is what you end up having to deal with. It's just it's just that little bit right there, going from negative 95%, boom, to 118. And again, you got to remember, 100% is 4160, so that's a good yank down instantaneously. And since this is like how the drive is actually seeing what the utility is doing, this is actually pretty devastating to the controls. It's happening for like half a second. Actually, no, not a half a second. I'm being stupid. It's way less than. It's 0.000832 seconds. But it's on the dime for occurring every, or it's happening at 60 hertz. And I got all these people from the home office now that like I'm having to have the same conversation again and again and again and again, explaining to people what I'm seeing and why I cannot just force this. I can't just tune this out. Like it's perfect. It's happening every single flipping time. And then like they got this young kid pulled in the office and he's got like a smaller version of this drive and he's like, "Yeah, I'm trying to recreate this and I can't." I was like, "Yeah, you won't be able to." You won't be able to have a power system that's effed up. So there's no point in what you're trying to do, man. Like it's like, well, what do you want me to do? I was like, I want you to go focus on something else. Just go focus on something else. So stupid. Anyway, I hope everyone else is doing better than me. Take care. Ciao.